Hey guys, what's going on? I hope everyone's doing great. Now, yesterday I released a video talking about why you want to push for faction wars and try to get Lydia now before the changes happen, which will likely happen in the next few months. Nobody knows exactly when, but it's probably going to be several months after the new faction's released. It could be 4 months, it could be 8 months. Who really knows? Nobody. So, what I want to do with this series, this is going to be the first video of likely several videos through a faction war series. Today we're going to be talking about Bannerlords. Bannerlords was by far the faction that took me the longest to complete. As you can see, 35 minutes. I haven't changed anything whatsoever. I have pulled a few better Bannerlord champions, but since I cleared it this time, I haven't touched it whatsoever, like I said. Now, today, what I want to do is go through here, and my goal with this Faction War series is to not show you necessarily the champions I used as much. Yeah, if you can use these champions, great, but I want to give you more so the idea of like, what you should be prioritizing in each wave, what kind of champions you need to bring, and then we'll kind of do a look through the champions and maybe point out a few you may or may not know that you could use on this Faction War stage. Also, a big thing I want to give you guys is which champions you should take to 60, level 60, 6-star, whatever it may be, or which champions can be left to 50, no masteries, no books, whatever it may be. Obviously, assuming you guys are like me, I don't like investing in champions that I'm not going to use in several other areas of the game. Like you can see here, I've never done stage 21 again. I was literally saying on stream, I don't want to invest in any of these champions because I'm never going to use them, or at least not that frequently, okay? So I want to just leave them at 50. Now, you're going to hear this probably several times throughout this series. When it comes to taking a champion to 60, a massive, massive determining factor is going to be your gear, okay? So for me, the gear that I needed for, say, Commander was I had the gear that made sense. I had 6-star pieces of gear, pretty good substat rolls, and there were 6-star pieces of gear, epic pieces of gear, and I had good main percentage stats, okay? Now, the reason why that matters is because at 5-star, level 50, fully ascended, Commander's base HP is 11,000, okay? Her base speed is 101, defense 559. Let's go in here and look at what she would be if she was 6-star, fully ascended, all right? So we go down here to Commander, 15,000, 700 defense, and then 101 speed. So her speed doesn't change. Her HP and defense go up a reasonable amount. Now here's a champion who has an even bigger difference. 19,000, let's just say 20,000 HP when fully ascended at 6-star, all right? Going here to this champion that I have already at 5-star level 50, and you will see that Seneschal has, instead of almost 20,000 HP, he has about 15,000 base HP. So obviously you can see there's a big difference between a fully ascended 6-star champion and not. So it's going to have to be to your discretion whether or not you want to take your champion to 6-star, because if your gear is good enough to move around from other champions, whatever it may be, you can leave them at 5-star level 50 and get away with it. And when you're watching my videos and you're saying, well, Tyrauku had it at 5-star level 50 and he did perfectly fine, but I'm not doing the same thing. Obviously his video's a scam. Whoa, pump the brakes. The video's not a scam. The issue is possibly your gear. All right. So if you have lower relentless gear, you may have to bump them up. You may not be able to fit your champions in relentless gear. The gear does make a big difference. So I can't really say, hey, this champion needs to go to 6-star level 60. Some of the champions I can give a better advice on, like Commander, for example, she's not going to be targeted very often. As long as you can get her HP up, she's going to perform great. You're going to have HP stats all over her anyways, so you should be able to pump that up pretty well. And if you're not able to fit relentless pieces on these champions, try to get their speed as high as possible. It's another thing. If you get to 6-star, level 60, you can unlock the banner, which will give you more speed, potentially, if you roll speed on those pieces. And for Commander, the banner would actually be really good because you could pump up her accuracy and actually start landing her stun. Now, let's jump into the Faction War stage. And while we're doing this, don't forget to like the video so it gets pushed out to more people. Very, very much appreciated. If you're not already subscribed, make sure to hit that sub button and leave a comment down below on how, preferably later on in this video, how I can improve on this series to better help you guys out when it comes to finishing your Faction Wars. Now, you may notice that I'm a little bit bigger today. I've blown up my webcam because today you have new Tyrauku. Back here, you have old Tyrauku. And the reason why I wanted to point that out is because if in the middle of the video you notice my hands, looks like I grew 2 more arms, don't worry, I haven't mutated. It's only because you got myself in the background. So I want to let you guys know that beforehand. If not, you may be thinking, well, what the heck is going on here? So what we're gonna do with this video is an hour and a half long, I believe it is. So instead of making you guys sit through this entire hour and a half video, I could have just posted this. It was from the stream. But yeah, it's gonna be pointless. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna jump through here. My goal is to explain each wave and what my focus was on each wave. So we'll go ahead and start this playing, and I'll kind of talk through as I fight in the background. So when it comes to this very first wave in Faction Wars, you can see I'm like circling around the mouse and stuff, trying to explain things on stream. I do have Killian, and he is a legendary. Obviously, he was a fusion legendary, so more people are going to have him than not, but I don't think he was 100% necessary. So Commander, she's able to apply stun on her ability 1. I had Stagnite in a stun set, and we'll jump into all these champions gearing at the end of this video. I'll go ahead and let you know Killian's not booked. Commander is fully booked. Seneschal has his A2 and his A3 ability booked. His A1, I wasn't super worried about it. Steadfast Marshal, A2, A3 fully booked, I believe. Stagnite, fully booked. No masteries on Steadfast. I don't think anybody has masteries except for Stagnite. And we'll double check that at the end, but just as a heads up. So here, what you'll notice is that I killed Broadmaul, okay? So Broadmaul was the very first champion I killed, the lizard on the far left. That's because he brings a res. And by far, one of the most annoying things in Faction Wars is when champions res their allies that you've spent so long trying to kill, all right? So I highly, highly recommend taking down Broadmaul. He also applies some buffs, and if you can get him down pretty quickly, perfect, okay? So try to kill Broadmaul. Now, you'll also notice that now I'm trying to CC this Torture Helm, I believe is his name. The reason why I'm trying to do that is because if you go in here to the champion index, we'll go to Torture Helm. Torture Helm has two abilities that are very annoying. One, his damage is proportional to this champion's max HP, and it increases according to the number of dead allies. And he also has a res as a passive ability. So, the reason why that's important is because I know that each champion I kill, his damage is going to get boosted more and more and more. And when I have Killian, who is a Magic Affinity champion, he is basically going to be one shot from Torture Helm if Torture Helm gets a turn. My Killian is not geared to take damage. I think he's in Savage gear. May not have been the best. And if we get to the boss and you actually get to see a few of his hits, the boss was basically killing my Killian in one shot. It was actually pretty bad. So I do recommend taking your damage dealer and bumping up their HP a little bit more. But when it comes to this, I was really just wanting him to do a lot of damage. Obviously, if you have a res champion, your strategy can change a lot because you don't have to worry about being so careful with every person you kill. Now, in this case right here, I went ahead and killed the Drake. I think it was more so just a thing of my Killian with strong affinity. Drake and Bloodfeather, not necessarily a huge priority on who I kill. It's really just who wasn't under a stun, who wasn't under provoke, or whatever it may be. And it was just whichever champion was getting lowest HP first. So my biggest threats here is I want to get rid of the damage dealers. Vrask is annoying. He's a healer. Not anything crazy though. So his heals weren't making the run super difficult. But Torture Helm, the big thing you guys want to focus on when it comes to Torture Helm is either if he's crowd controlled like he is right now, he has a stun and a provoke on him, then you can back off for a little bit. You don't have to worry too much about him because he's not going to attack anybody, especially if he's stunned. But you'll notice that as he starts to get closer and closer to breaking out of that stun, I'll start doing more and more damage to him because I do not want him to break out the stun and hit my Killian because he will 100% one-shot my Killian, which is terrible. So I start working down everybody else. If they have a stun, I kind of back off from them for a minute. Once that stun comes off, I'll start focusing on Torture Helm a little bit more, trying to go ahead and kill him because I know once I kill him, he's going to come back to life. And when he comes back, I have a chance of not stunning him, which, like I said, if he hits me, I have no res champions. So having no res champions, I got to be especially careful. Now, I do have Killian, who has a stun ability very consistently. He didn't do it just now, but his accuracy is pretty low. But he didn't do it just now. So right now, I'm panicked. I'm like, oh man, I need to get a stun on this dude. It's going to be kind of bad if we don't get it. We have Seneschal here for provoke. A stun or provoke, either one works perfectly fine. I'm circling my mouse around there like, oh no, we need to get this so quick. But it ends up working fine, and we get through this wave. I believe I kill him, and then, yeah, everything. So we get a provoke, not as big a deal. If he attacks Seneschal, not a huge deal. It's only his A1. Seneschal was definitely huge for this wave, okay? So you really want, if you have a Seneschal, you definitely want to bring him if at all possible because that provoke is just an incredible ability. Now, Some other champions that would work instead of like Seneschal would be any champion with like a crowd control, throwing some stun sets on champions with AoE abilities. I'll jump in there and look at some other champions, but there's a huge variety, okay? So as you can see, this team makeup is a lot of crowd control. I'm trying to do a lot of crowd control. We have Leech from Seneschal, just for some more sustain, and Commander is definitely the MVP healer. So we'll go ahead and skip to the next wave. This wave goes perfectly fine. He did steal the counterattack from my Seneschal, which was kind of scary. I was a little bit worried that he was going to end up getting a turn and hitting me and messing me up. Wait, apparently... Okay, so apparently he did end up getting a turn, and he did one-shot me. So as you can see there, that's exactly what happened. This dude, he breaks out of... He has no CC on him, and then he ends up hitting my Killian, and this is bad news right here. Boom. 58,000 damage. If you look down here, Tyrauku number 2, he's distraught. He's not feeling too good. Leave battle. He's like, great, this is gonna take forever. So we go back in there, we try it again, and then we get through that first wave without too much of a trouble. Oh, I think I end up changing his stats. We'll look at the end and see exactly what stats were going on, what was equipped and everything. As you can see going through here, I started focusing down Portrait Helm a little bit more. Like I said, Vrask, not really a threat. Try to leave him for the last. You don't have to worry too much about him unless you're running a lot of Force champions, maybe, but his damage is definitely not a huge threat. Now, wave number 2. The thing that I personally was focused on here, I do have Warcaster, so I can do the block buffs. And whenever I cast block buffs on the enemy, I don't have to worry about Maneater's unkillable plus his block debuffs ability too much, so I can cast that and I'm safe for a little while. However, the one champion who I was worried about was Steel Skull, because Steel Skull has a heal. He cleanses on his heal, and he places increased defense. And if for some reason that increased defense went off, I was going to be in bad shape. Now, I did get lucky several times with Stag Knight's stun set. It did proc on Maneater several times, and you'll notice if we get to the point in the video that I was really trying to keep a stun up on Maneater. I didn't want Maneater to take a turn. You'll see here in just a second, I'm either trying to provoke Maneater or I'm just trying to stun him. You'll see there, got a stun on him. Perfect, okay? If he's stunned, I'm leaving him. He's not a huge deal. I'd rather spend some damage on another champion because Maneater's a little bit more of the tanky side, at least I believe so. Void Affinity, so nobody here is strong against him. So I was trying to work on the other enemies. Norog is definitely a champion you may want to consider as more of a threat because he does have abilities that are very annoying on the team. He does hit pretty hard and he's very tanky. The reason why I went for more of the squishy champions at first, though, is because I knew if I could get them down, then majority of the threats were gone, and I don't have to worry about 2 champions, okay? That was my main thought process there. Worry about as few champions as possible. I knew the Dracomorph and Jurang. I don't know exactly who that is. Jureg, not Jureg. I don't know who it is. All the lizards look pretty similar, but I knew if I could get those down, we'd be in a pretty safe spot. So this match right here is mostly just, hey, keep the stun on Maneater, work down these DPS, and then work down Norog whenever we can. Try to keep my heals up. There's probably a few times where this got a little bit close. Remember, we're running with level 50 champions, so there's only so much we can do. It's not going to be smooth sailing. So we fast forward through this. See, this ability right here is what's scary from Norog. When he does that AoE ability, that smash with the ice, the block buffs on my champions, then Steadfast Marshal, Warcaster. Warcaster's block damage doesn't work because we have block buffs. So I don't like that. That's definitely scary, but we end up working through it perfectly fine. Having your champions fast is huge. Having your champions fast helps out so much with every area of Faction Wars. And Stag Knight is honestly, in my opinion, crucial for this. If you don't have Stag Knight, it's going to be very difficult because Stag Knight's slow is massive. On the boss, on the side, minions, at the boss stage, everywhere. Having that slow and your champions fast allows you a much better chance to lap them, apply your stuns, whether it's from Commander, Killian, stun set, Stag Knight, or whoever else you have stun set on. Very, very helpful. Now, this is just slowly working down Maneater. If I land a stun on him, perfect. If I don't land a stun on him, I end up trying to focus him down more because then I'm getting a little bit panicked at that point, like, oh crap, he's going to mess me up. Now, I do have block buffs on all these champions, so I'm not really in a bad situation right now anyways. Warcaster is a huge help for that. If you have a champion like Oathbound, bring them in because Oathbound has block cooldowns, which is incredible. It's actually probably even better than block buffs if you can get it to land on everybody because Norog won't use his ability 3, Maneater won't use his ability 3, I believe. So you don't have to worry about those hard-hitting abilities. Most champions' A1 abilities just aren't very scary. So let's go ahead and go to the boss stage. And let me give you guys a breakdown on what I was doing here. So it took me a little while to realize this, but there's a few keys to this boss stage, and it's actually pretty simple once you get the hang of it. So the boss does a decent amount of damage, but if they're not using their ally attack, the damage that he deals or she deals, it deals, is not very much, to be honest. Now, my Killian does have a decreased turn meter, but Stagnite slow is even more important, okay? So if you do decide to go masteries, get Evil Eye on your champions because this boss does have a res. So it's going to help you with applying decreased turn meter to the adds every time they're resed. You can use the Evil Eye mastery to just decrease their turn meter a little bit each time. But Stagnite for sure is a very crucial champion. If you don't have him, like I said, it's going to make life a little bit more difficult because that slow from his ability 1 and just everything else he brings is incredible. Warcaster's block damage was huge. So this fight, my goal was make sure I had block damage up right before the boss took a turn. If I do end up getting hit when block damage was on cooldown, I don't have it up, I think I'm perfectly fine, but I do have to kind of hope that Relentless procs on my commander, because if it doesn't proc, we're in kind of a bad spot. Now, commander, whenever she heals, she fills the ally's turn meter if they get healed fully. So it's a huge ability, especially when she's healing somebody like Seneschal, okay? So she heals Seneschal. Seneschal gets his ability 2, the Veil plus the continuous heal off cooldown, and it helps out so much. Now you can see here, didn't deal a ton of damage. We have decreased attack, decreased defense applied. Incredible. So it's not a huge deal. Now, this ability right here, this ability that's on cooldown right now, this is a scary ability. I believe that is the ally attack. And if they do that, and both of these allies are awake, not stunned, not controlled whatsoever, this ability is going to ruin you, okay? If anything was going to mess up your run, this right here is. So you have to make sure that you have either both of them stunned or both of them dead. Now, I don't recommend killing them both because of one specific thing, and this is literally what made my run so much better. You'll see here, I got lucky and have block damage up. My Stagnite almost died. He has good gear, he's level 60, but if I didn't have block damage there, without a doubt, I would have died. And you can see down here, my eyes, they were kind of big. I was like, oh no, that was pretty daggone close. I was getting worried. But the thing I realized a little bit later in the run than I should have is that whenever you kill one of these minions on the sides, then the boss will cast res soon. I'm not sure if it's the very next turn or when, but the boss will cast res. Now, when the boss casts their res ability, they sleep, okay? Now, if the boss is asleep, do not attack the boss. You'll wake him up from the sleep, let him sleep the entire time. When they cast the res, you should have one other ally who's still alive. Start working on their damage, okay? So this is what I did. I'll go ahead and fast forward a little bit to kind of break it down what's going on. So you'll see here that this one's about to die, okay? So I'll try to fast forward just a little bit more so you guys can see it. So she's dead. We only have one ally up. And you'll see this is very crucial, okay? This ally right here, I have the stun. If you don't have Killian, Commander can do great. A stun set Stagnite does great. It is a little bit more RNG, but if you can build your commander with accuracy, she can apply a stun. With Relentless gear, she's going to get those chances at extra turns, and she only has 2 abilities, the stun on her A1 or the heal. So if you can apply the stun, these champions aren't very fast, especially when Stagnite has his slow on them. They're especially slow. So try to get a stun, try to lock them out. These allies on the side, these enemies on the side, are going to be the ones who kill you. The boss, the damage isn't crazy, assuming you have decent heals. I do have Leech, which helps out a little bit, not massive. If you went ahead and mastered everybody, you'd have War Master or Giant Slayer procs, which would give you bigger heals back. But that little extra healing is definitely nice, especially for Stagnite, because I think he does have War Master on him. Now, we'll go ahead and play this. And you'll see the boss in just a second, I believe. She should cast the res. Let's see. Okay, so she cast the ally attack because it was off cooldown just then. But now that the ally attack is on a 4-turn cooldown, let's fast forward a little bit. So you'll see here that I have this ally right here with 1 HP, basically. She has like no HP whatsoever. I don't want to kill that ally, okay? Because the boss will still res even if this ally is still alive. Now, we're getting some turn meter reduction from Stagnite. Stagnite was a huge help. I didn't have enough accuracy on him, for him to be even better. He was pretty low on accuracy, but overall, I can't take it away from him. He was definitely a big help, but I don't think he's 100% required. By no means. I do think Stagnite is very crucial though. Now, whenever this boss takes a turn here, reconstruct, she reses, and the boss falls asleep. Do not attack the boss. That is a terrible idea. So leave the boss asleep. What you want to do at this point is you want to kill the enemy that you had worked down already, preferably by the time the boss reses. This ad is going to be at 1 HP. And then after that, what I would do is I would try to either one, keep a stun up on this one the whole time, or I was trying to deal as much damage to this one on the side as I could. I wanted this one to be ready to be killed as soon as this one over here was brought back. So basically the entire time I was balancing attacking the boss when I could. That's why it took so long. If you had a champion who could apply poisons, if you had Rowan as a DPS or something like that, you could definitely deal a lot more damage to the boss. I had like no damage. So overall, it took very, very much more time than it should have. But I had to balance, hey, let's attack this ad over here. Let's get her as low as possible. Keep the stun applied, because as soon as this boss wakes up, we're going to have the threat of more damage. We're going to have the threat of ally attack. And while we don't have both the allies still alive, there is a chance that this one ally can kill me. And there was a few times where it got pretty sketchy. My goal here, though, is like I said, just get this one down as low as possible. Ideally, this one will be at like 1 HP. It'll have the stun applied as well. And then once the boss actually does her res, then I can just kill this one and then start working on the one she just rezzed. Ideally, then again, I will stop attacking the one on the other side right before she's about to die, and then just attack the boss solely up until the point where the boss gets pretty low and does the res again, and just rinse and repeat. It doesn't matter if this thing takes 20 minutes. If you do it that way, it could be slower. It's definitely going to be slower. But if you have some poisons on the boss, it's great. If not, it just takes a while. You may only get one hit every now and then, but it's a very safe way. And I probably played it a little bit more safer than what I really needed to. Like, I would work these ads down all the way. Decreased defense and a decreased attack from Stagnite was huge, but I'd work these people down all the way, and then I just get a few attacks on the ball. So you see 21 minutes, we fast forward it, 25 minutes, 26 minutes. I was worried this entire time. So now we're at 31 minutes still in the fight, and I'm still playing it as safe as possible. At this point though, this ad is not close to dying. This one's turn meter is filling up. Right here, I was panicked. I was like, oh no. I spent 31 minutes in this fight just for these ads to come back alive and for me to get messed up. Now, they don't have ally attack up. If she had ally attack up, I'd probably be dead here. But this one on the side does a lot of damage, okay? I got so lucky with Killian right there, because this would have been my last turn without a doubt. This ad would have killed me. But as soon as I applied that stun to that ad, I wasn't worried. Right here, Commander got an extra turn. It was incredible. So she got one step closer to getting a heal. Had to be careful with Seneschal's heals there, applying them. Hopefully, he was feared though, unfortunately. But there, once I killed that ad on the side, I was in a much safer position. Now, we did get that ally attack, I believe, right there, which could very well have messed me up. I don't know if I had a block damage on or not, but either way, I guess that decreased attack really helped me out a lot. There was definitely a few times here where I was very scared, even this late in the fight, 32 minutes, because I started kind of letting the ads get res, not working down the side ones enough, focusing more on the boss, and things started to catch up. So definitely take it slow, do it manual, focus on the ads on the side. If you don't have enough damage, you don't have enough damage. But if you're able to, bring in a champion like Rowan, and you can do the poisons on the boss and do a lot more damage than the team that I have. Rowan could replace Killian. We'll go in here and look at Rowan's skill sets. But as you can see, Commander's extra turns from Relentless were incredible. Helped me out so much. Commander almost died. You may have seen that a second ago, but like this, I was definitely panicked. I was very, very worried, but it works out perfectly fine. And we end up getting through this boss stage without too much trouble. It's 35 minutes. That was a lot of trouble. Now let's go in here real quick and check out some of the Bannerlords. So if you have a res champion, this whole video doesn't really apply to you. Res champions make this immensely easier, specifically Roglin. There's not very many res champions in the Bannerlords, but Roglin, literally throw her on the team, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about too much. Oathbound, an amazing champion. I don't want to go through here and point out every single champion. I don't know if that's going to be much value to you guys. If you want me to in the future videos, let me know, and I can do that. But I may make separate videos going more into the champions you can use. I don't want this to be a 40-minute video or anything super long, but I do want to point out Rowan instead of Killian if you have her. She does bring a lot of damage. These poisons will definitely help you get the boss in a better spot sooner. This attack 3 times, each hit has a chance of placing a stun, will be massive in so many areas, okay? So all those areas where I need those stuns applied, Rowan will be massive, okay? Now, she doesn't have a decreased speed, she doesn't have a reduced turn meter, but she brings a lot of extra damage. And if you get her to 60, she'll work the boss down super fast, and you won't struggle nearly as much as I did with getting damage dealt to the boss or getting damage dealt to the ads before the boss res and then starting to fall behind. So as a damage dealer, Rowan is incredible. Okay, and then Oathbound, like I said, very good champion as well. Attacks all enemies and then attacks 4 times at random. If you want, you can throw him in a stun set. Very good champion. Ursula, great champion as well. I believe she has a res. Yeah. So like I said, if you have a res champion, without a doubt, put them in there. But this is the team that I used. Oh, let me just go in here and show you guys the gear that I used on each one of these champions. So we'll fast forward this video. I almost forgot to show you that. And then this will be wrapping it up. So this is Killian. This is his stats. Like I said, he's not booked whatsoever, and he has no masteries. I'll go ahead and show you that his masteries are non-existent because I didn't want to invest in his masteries, to be honest. So no masteries whatsoever. His gear is different than what it was at that time, though. But he is in a Savage set, very low HP. Honestly, I don't really recommend this. I recommend going more accuracy, more speed if you can. But I was just like, I want to make him do a lot of damage. There's a few times where he almost died, though, and it was pretty sketchy. Actually, the very early video, you'll see that he did die on that very first wave from the torture helm, remember? But that's his stats, and it worked out fine. Savage gear, like I said, you can definitely give him more defense, a lot more HP, and he would do just as good. Wouldn't kill people as quick, but he wasn't doing a super fast job anyways. I literally used him for damage. Rowan would have been better for me. Seneschal. Seneschal was in a Relentless set, 218 speed. And this is kind of what I was talking about, that if you don't have this gear, if you don't have a Relentless set that can make him go that fast, maybe just put Seneschal solely in speed set and make him have a lot of HP. Seneschal casts and provokes. Very, very good ability. I maybe should have had his accuracy a little bit higher, but I didn't have to worry about provokes on the boss. Doesn't work on the boss stage. The only thing I needed to worry about provokes on was the waves. Now, whenever he casts provoke, he does get the counterattack on himself, and his A1 ability does place leech. So if you're on the boss stage, you can still cast the provoke. You can get the counterattack on yourself. If you have the leech applied, then and you had War Master, for example, you would be healing yourself whenever you attack the boss. So Seneschal has very, very good survivability, okay? This A1, like I said, the leech with War Master, if you want to go mastery him, you can get some good value out of him. He's definitely a very good champion, and there's reason to cast the provoke, even if you don't need to provoke actual enemies. So very good champion there. This is his gear, HP, defense, speed. The most important, accuracy. You do want to make sure that's at a good amount. Obviously, if he was 6-starred, it'd been a lot easier to get that accuracy, but I got a number that was seeming to land a decent amount. There were several times where it was resisted, but it did work. He worked fine at 50 with that gear. Now, Commander, another champion who her heal is based off of HP percentage. Let me see if I can find where her gear was. If I actually, I know I showed it. I showed it right. Okay, so here's her stats. I guess I didn't actually pull it up, but it looks like we have what, about 41,000 HP, give or take, and we have pretty good speed, about 212 speed, and no real defense. The reason why is because I wasn't too worried about the defense because I knew I had Seneschal to provoke everybody. So with Commander, my main goal with her was I want as many heals as possible to come out from her, okay? So if you have an arena champion who's super fast, if you have really fast Relentless gear, Commander, perfect champion for that because she essentially is speeding up your other allies as well. And you want her to have as much HP as possible because she heals the ally with the lowest HP, about 40% of this champion's HP, and then completely fills the target's turn meter if the ally is fully healed. This champion's turn meter cannot be filled. So, obviously, stack her with HP as much as you can get. Relentless is even better. I've seen people talk about Reflex. I'm not as a huge fan of Reflex as I am Relentless. You'll probably have better Relentless than Reflex pieces, but worst case, put her in speed, make her go fast, get a lot of heals from her, give her a lot of HP. The more HP, the better. If you take her to 6-star, go ahead. I didn't because I didn't need to with my gear level, where it's at right now, but definitely a champion who will do very well in your faction war team. and is an amazing healer, especially for me in Relentless, like I said. Now let's go ahead and go to Stag Knight. I believe he's next. So, all right, guys. So here is my Stag Knight and what his stats are looking like. So with him, I was pumped up his HP pretty high. I did throw him an Immortal set plus a stun set. The stun set was so good for him. I wanted Stag Knight to be fast. He's at a little bit over 100 speed, I guess 113 or so. Accuracy very high as well. 6-star, fully ascended, definitely worth it. Great champion. He's the only champion I have who's actually mastered. But with him, like I said, I want him to go fast. I want him to apply the stun as much as possible. Get him booked. Lower the cooldown ability 2. Well, he only has 2 abilities. Get that cooldown lowered. He is probably one of the best champions on my team, and probably was one of the most important champions for helping me get through the Faction War stage because of that AoE, had a chance to land the stun, decrease attack, decrease defense. I did have Sniper Mastery on him, it appears. So if I went War Master, that definitely would have made a faster fight for the boss. But these Masteries are what I used. Seemed to work very well. Everybody else didn't even use Masteries on them, guys. So that is all the champions I had. That's all the champions I had built. Oh, wait, Warcaster. Let me show you Warcaster's gear. All right, guys. And now, finally, my Warcaster. My Warcaster had a decent amount of HP as well. He was in a mismatched set. I was really just wanting him to be fast. He wasn't even super fast. I did want him to be the slowest on the team so he could apply the block damage, and then ideally the enemy would go, but it didn't always work like that. He wasn't perfectly speed tuned. He did work out fine. He does have a decent amount of accuracy. I definitely recommend having a good amount of accuracy because of that block buffs. If you don't have Warcaster, maybe you could use Oathbound instead. And if you don't take a ton of damage, if you can control the enemies very well, you don't really need Warcaster. But these are the champions that I used to do Bannerlord Stage 21. Like I said, when it comes to jumping into the specific champions you could use, there's a lot of champions you could use in here, but you really want to have champions who can control the waves, heal. So Commander, amazing healer. Seneschal, amazing healer. Any champion. Archmage Helmet, very good champion as well. If you could get him, if you have him, bring him in here. So anybody like that, very good. You want to control the waves as much as possible. Prioritize. Honestly, the biggest thing for Bannerlords is knowing which enemies to prioritize when it comes to clearing the waves. If you have a healer, a champion who can keep your team alive decent, or worst case scenario, throw your champions in lifesteal gear, then you should be fine. You should be perfectly fine. Just know who to target, when to target them, and then when the boss stage, make sure you're balancing the 2 enemies on the side, and don't let the boss use the ally attack without having some kind of protection on your champions. If you have legendary champions other than Killian, more power to you. It's going to be way easier for you than it was for me, and hopefully you have some good champions. But when it comes to the rares, there's a few you can use. I tried using Steadfast Marshal for that stage. I couldn't really fit him into my team that great. So for the limited number of champions that I have, I think this team worked out great. Like I said, guys, hopefully this helps you out with clearing Bannerlord Stage 21. Let me know what kind of changes, more information you'd like to see in the coming up Faction War videos that are to follow this one. Let me know, did this answer your questions? Did I miss some things that you would have liked to have seen? This is the first video like this, so definitely leave it some suggestions down in the comment section below. Very much appreciated. I hope this helps you out, and I'll catch you in the next Faction Wars. Good luck in pushing for Lydia, and thank you very much for watching, guys.